Oh, as happy as I might be to be here, you all out there are going to be far happier because we have some news. We have breaking news here
What's
on
that?
Finding the Seams. I'm Ric Bucher. That's Brennan Haywood. And that is Brennan Haywood. Many of you have been asking for it. He's delivering. He has a new microphone.
And first and foremost, I had this microphone 2 weeks ago, but my 15-year-old, I won't say stole it. He borrowed it and did not let me know that he borrowed it. And that's the negative. The positive is after he borrowed it, he showed me how to set it up and use it. So that's how we got here today.
Well, you are the dulcet tones of Brendan Haywood are coming through loud and clear.
Okay.
Glad to see you, my friend. Again, we have a lot to dive into. The NBA is not want for giving us great topics.
The NBA, in my opinion, out of all the sports, is like 82 games of a soap opera. Like every week you might think, man, what is there to talk about? And then boom, they give you something. Yeah. Every single time, the NBA is probably the greatest soap opera going in sports.
It is. I don't know how many people actually watch the games, but the people who follow the drama via social media, that's where it has really exploded. And by the way, apologies to our listeners if you heard the intro to our podcast, the last couple episodes. It gave the intro twice. I think it gave the outro twice as well. That was a technological error on my part. It has been corrected. And I believe we will not be having that issue going forward. In any case, want to dive into the Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, what they did to the Lakers, also what they did to the Golden State Warriors. And we both know this, Brendan. It's November. There's a lot that can change, but I can't help but feel that there was a statement made about not just where the Oklahoma City Thunder are, but where the old guard are in relationship to the new champions.
I honestly don't think you can make a statement in November.
Okay.
Too much changes. But you can't put people on notice. And a lot of times what happens when you see teams come off of a championship, not all the time, but a lot of times, most recent example would be the Boston Celtics. Team comes off a championship. The next year, there's a little bit of a hangover. There's a little bit of that championship aura where they don't start the season off the same way. None of that is happening to OKC. More importantly, they are molly-whopping the league. Their second best player hasn't even suited up yet.
Yep.
Like, I watched them take apart the Lakers, and I went to bed at halftime because I knew it. I'm on the East Coast. That's a West Coast game. Lakers down 30 at the half, and I knew they weren't coming back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm watching the defense being played on Luka. I'm watching the defense being played on Austin Reeves. Even when Luka was hitting shots at the beginning of the game, I'm like, that's a tough step back over like a 7'2" guy. Like, those are really, really tough shots. And when I look at OKC, I think, like I said, I don't think there's a statement, but they're letting the league know there's no let up, there's no foot off the gas. Every last person in our locker room is about running this back again. It's not the disease of me. It's not the I want more minutes, I want more shots. Everybody is doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And then on top of that, Rick, on top of this team already being good, they find another great young player. AJ Mitchell, I've been watching for the past couple of weeks, like, yo, who is he? I thought he was a rookie. Like, I'm thinking that, like, no, he's not a rookie. Like, from Santa Barbara, was with the team last year. I'm like, you find this guy, and I know it's early in the season, but he's defending, he's hitting shots, and he's averaging 17 points per game right now. We've never even heard of him. Like, this team is probably going to do it again.
You know this as well as anyone, though, that when there's a really great team and it's a great unselfish team, if you're a complimentary player and you understand how to play the game, you can look really good in a hurry. Like, I don't know that AJ Mitchell is doing this. I don't know that he's doing it with the Lakers right now. I don't know that he's doing it with any number of teams. But I've seen players, and I'm sure you experienced it. Maybe I mean you've seen the difference. You've seen the difference between playing with a team where it's like, we really don't have like a tight outfit versus the teams you played in Cleveland. I would imagine where it was, look, I know what I need to do to contribute, and I'm going to get a lot of opportunity because everybody else is getting attention.
Right. And when you're on a really good team and everybody plays the right way and everybody's unselfish, I had a coach always tell me, when you're on teams like that, the ball finds energy. Like the ball naturally gets skipped around the perimeter. Guys naturally get good shots because no one is thinking, I got to get mine.
Yeah.
Because you understand the thought process of, if I just play the right way, it's going to come to me. I was telling somebody this the other day. In Washington, D.C., when I played for the Wizards, whenever I got an offensive rebound, for the most part, I tried to put it back up without even thinking about it. Not because I didn't care, because I never knew when I was going to get a shot again.
Yes. You didn't know if you were going to touch it again.
Hey, I love Karan. I love Gil. Yeah. I love Antoine Jameson. Ain't none of them dudes known for passing, right? And so I didn't know when I was going to get a shot again. When I got to Dallas, they quickly told me, hey, that's not your role. But more importantly, if I just did what I was supposed to do, because Dirk would get doubled, because Jason Terry would take so much attention, because Jason Kidd was such a great floor general, I never had to worry about playing selfishly, because if you do the right thing, the ball will find you.
Yeah.
And in OKC, everybody just lets the ball find them. And it doesn't matter who it is. I watched last year in the playoffs, I watched Isaiah Joe not play for a whole playoff series. And then come in the very next series, ball finds him, he's knocking down shots. Mm-hmm. Like, you look at Wiggins. Wiggins steps in, and Wiggins can go for 20 on any given night, but he doesn't have to force shots. He understands, hey, when Shai starts getting double teamed, he's going to get it to me. Like, he's going to, and everybody understands their role. Everybody understands their goal, and they're moving to it in unison. The rest of the league needs to be terrified of what OKC is, because not only are they a great team offensively, not only are they a great team defensively, not only do they have great leadership from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, obviously, in my opinion, the best player in the league, but they have continuity and culture. Yep. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody wants the same things. Everybody's moving at one, and they're doing it on a young team. You very rarely see this much maturity on a young basketball team. Hey, Rick, I'm going to tell you this. Most fans don't want to hear this. Most young basketball teams, the number one thing is not winning. It's not. Yep. If you know this from covering the league, on most young basketball teams, this guy wants to get paid. This guy is a star that wants to be an all-star. This guy's an all-star that wants to be a superstar. This guy wants more commercials. This guy wants a max contract. This guy's coming off the bench. He wants to be a starter. This guy's not in a rotation. He feels
agendas.
Rotation. On most young teams, there's so many different agendas. And winning, it's like, yeah, I want to win, but I don't want to win more than I want to get paid. I don't want to win more than I want to have my face on the next Nike campaign or Reebok or whatever shoe deal it is. There's so many different agendas you see on most teams like this that you do not see on this OKC team. It is truly unique.
How much do you think it's the fact that they're in Oklahoma City and you don't have the trappings and you don't have quite all of the surrounding noise and attention and people grabbing at you? I mean, you had a great team in Cleveland. That was also a veteran team. How much do you think the city and the dynamics that are surrounding you affect a team's ability to focus or get distracted?
I don't think it's as much about the city, because now everybody got phones. Everybody, you can fly here, fly there. Like, you're not oblivious to what's going on. Like, just because you're in OKC doesn't mean that you can't still be selfish. They've had selfish players in OKC in previous stints, right? I think the biggest thing is who the front office and his coaching staff agree to bring in. Who do they draft? Who do they target in free agency? Like, what type of guys are they going after? You know, like, what type of vets do you have around? A guy like Alex Caruso is invaluable. He won a championship before he got to your team. So he comes in with a certain level of championship pedigree, and then he can tell guys certain things, and because he can still play, they listen to him.
Yeah.
And it's just like, when I've covered OKC, I did a couple of their games last year. And when you talk to the coaching staff, they honestly feel like there's not a bad seed on the roster. That's very rare. There's normally a wild cannon.
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
2 or 3. There's but everybody looking for certain types of behavior, similar to what the Spurs used to do. And they have replicated that, and I don't even think it's arguable. They have the best culture in the league.
Yep. It's hard to argue with. Sam Presti, when I used to go through San Antonio, and he was a video coordinator.
Ooh.
And yeah, I mean, that's where he started. And he started, like, whatever he was getting paid, he could barely pay for rent and food. And so he was always stealing all the energy bars.
Got to live off those Gatorade bars. Yep.
Yeah.
The free Gatorade bars that are around in every arena. Yes.
If anybody checked his backpack on the way out, that thing was stocked with Gatorade, the juice from the fridge, and the bars. But and we used to play pickup with like him and Mike Budenholzer, like all the support staff. Anytime I would go through there, and it strikes me that he is so far ahead of every other GM. Joe Lacob said it about the Warriors. It's the truth about Sam Presti, and you would never hear him say it. He is not only tremendous at what he does, but incredibly humble about it and wants absolutely no attention for it.
Because a lot of times people are willing to sacrifice certain morals and certain behavior for talent. But this guy can play, so yeah, I know he might have this that's a negative. He might have, but because he can play,
let's see if we can work with it.
We can work with it. And Presti's kind of like, nah, that don't fit here. A guy that's not willing to sacrifice shots don't fit here. Guess what? Shai's going to take a certain amount of shots. J-Dub is going to take a certain amount of shots. I need a guy that is okay getting 10 shots one night and maybe not playing the next. That's the mentality that a guy like Isaiah Joe has. Like, if you go back to the playoffs, he was averaging 10, 11 points per game on the season, and they were series where he didn't get in. If you don't have the right type of mindset, you'll check out.
Yep.
Like, oh, I done started all year long. I get to the playoffs, and now they're not going to play me. I've seen it before. I've been that guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, it's one of those situations where the culture is so good that everybody, they bring in certain types of guys, and then because everybody's doing it, you get in line. And that's one thing I saw from going from DC to Dallas. In Dallas, I'll give you one quick story about how the culture was in Dallas and how when everybody's doing it, it makes everybody get in line. So in DC, the culture was iffy at times, to say the least. I don't want to offend anybody. And when I got to Dallas, there were certain things that they just wouldn't. Hey, everybody has to get in here and do this amount of work. You have to get this amount of lifting in. And one big thing was after games, if you did not play 15 minutes, you had to go downstairs. When the practice gym at that point was in the building, you had to go downstairs and run sprints directly after the game. It did not matter if you played 14 minutes and 50 seconds. If you did not play 15:00, you had to run, no matter who you were. And this is one of the better stories. One time, it was Jason Kidd didn't play the 15 minutes. And I'm not sure why. I think we might have been blowing somebody out. And they were like, we called him Deuce. They're like, Deuce, you ain't played 15 minutes. And then one of the trainers was like, nah, you don't have to run. And Jay Kidd's like, nah, I do. And he just went down there and ran. And when he said, nah, I do, now that I think about it, I understand what he was saying. See, if I go run, and I'm a Hall of Famer, if I go do this 15 minutes, I set the culture. So now these other young second and third year guys, if they play 14 minutes, 37 seconds, and they say, hey, I don't want to run, guess what? They still got to run. If there's somebody else that feels like, at that point, I was an 8-year vet. I mean, I'm an 8, 9-year vet. Why I got to run? Well, because Jason Kidd's running. The culture's set. The culture was set. And so when I go look at this OKC team, I can't tell you all the specifics, but I can tell the culture has been set and everybody is on the same page.
Yeah. What's wild is obviously, and the thing that you're pointing out is that culture is set. It's encouraged by the organization. The organization has to value those type of guys, but ultimately it's your best players that have to set the tone. Like if that's not happening in the locker room, it doesn't matter how much the coach or the GM or anybody else preaches, it's not happening. And I think about the fact that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was with the Los Angeles Clippers. And Lawrence Frank at one time coached Jason Kidd. So he knew what a good culture was like and a good cultural leader was like. And they still moved Shai Gilgeous-Alexander out for Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, who, while great players, I can't tell you directly that they took advantage of their star status, but there's pretty strong evidence that at various times they have taken advantage of their star status, which undermines overall your culture. And why I would say that the Clippers have, in our eyes, have underachieved far more than they have achieved.
I think the Clippers underachieving is twofold. It's first of all the culture, and then second of all it is injuries. But I will say that the culture got better when Ty Lue took over. I think,
but that's to my point. That's exactly to my point. The coach can understand what a good culture is,
right,
and he can try to drive it. But if you don't have buy-in from your best players, the Golden State Warriors, perfect example. Steph Curry is at the heart of that culture. It is why they've continued to be competitive, even now being relevant, in spite of the fact, and we got to get into this. We're going to get into this before the end of the podcast because it's driving me crazy with Warriors fans. Their dissatisfaction with Steve Kerr and this team, and it's underperforming and all that. I'm like, you guys do not understand what this is about. But Steph Curry is a perfect example of a guy who, for all that he has accomplished, he's still their hardest worker. He's still their most humble guy in terms of sharing the ball and trying to make other guys better.
So culture starts in three phases. The first part is organizational. Your front office has to have a plan for what the culture is. The second part, coaching staff. Your coaching staff has to take that plan, say, okay, we agree with that, give it to the players. The third part is your best player and your leaders on the team have to take that message and echo it to the locker room so that the guys don't get tired of hearing the same voice of the coaching staff.
Yeah.
More importantly, they have visible, tangible evidence of, ooh, that guy is doing the right thing. Like I said, I got all my Dallas stories because I felt like we had a great story. We had a great culture. One of Dirk didn't even realize how he was setting the culture with his work. Random game. We played the night before, got practice the next day. Quick practice, not a lot going on, didn't want to wear guys out. It's me, I want to say Jan Mahiney, Brandon Wright. We're about to leave practice. As soon as practice is over, we better get up out of there. But they take a step off the course. Hey, fellas, hold on a sec. I said, the big fella's still shooting. Dirk was doing his one-legged fadeaways. I said, hold on. I said, we got to shoot free throws. We got to play one-on-one. We can't leave before him. He played 40 minutes. Combined, we didn't play 40 minutes.
We're going to cut out early.
Yeah, but Dirk never understood that he set the code. Every day you can set your watch to it. After practice, he was going to do that one-leg fadeaway from every single spot that he deemed was important. So when he got in the game, he could hit that shot. And by doing that every single day and being that type of worker, culture was set. Yo, bro, you can't, for the guys that didn't play but so much, we can't leave before he get here. We can't leave before he leaves. And that's what when your best player is coachable, when your best player is a hard worker, when he understands what it's about, there's an automatic trickle-down effect. Everybody else gets in line. The guys that care get in line, and the guys that don't care, you move on from them. Them ain't your guys.
So speaking of Dallas.
Okay. All right. I knew we were gonna get to it.
Oh yeah, we were. I thought about getting to it off the top.
I thought you were gonna lead with Dallas, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was, but I don't know why I had Lakers top of mind but
Because you're a Laker hater. You're a Laker hater. That's why.
no. You
You're
know
a
what it
Laker
is?
hater.
It's because I just saw them get mollywopped.
Yeah, they got
Right?
destroyed. Hey,
Nico
as the young
Harrison
kids
news
say,
feels old already.
hey, what the BTA? You know what that stands for? Belt to. There you go. That's what the Lakers got last night. BTA.
Not the belt.
Belt
The
to
belt.
BTA.
they did that. Yeah, that was a sobering experience for the Los Angeles Lakers, and for Luka Doncic. And Luka Doncic is part of this next conversation, and it goes into the whole culture thing. So, Dallas Mavericks fans got their wish. Nico Harrison, GM, who was the one who orchestrated the trade of Luka Doncic.
Was he?
Well, that I know. But we're gonna dive into that. I think he orchestrated it, but I think he had a mandate from ownership. And so for me, he should legally change his name to Fall Guy, because that's what, in my mind, he is in this situation. It bothers me that everybody forgets that it was a year and change ago that Nico Harrison made trades that turned this team from a play-in team to a team that went to the finals. And I know Luka Doncic was at the heart of that. I knew that he played unbelievable, at least until he got to the finals. But they were treading water until he went and got PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford.
Yep.
They weren't the team they ultimately were going to the finals without drafting Derek Lively. And if you look at the guys that he traded for Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington, they're not even in the league right now. Rashawn Holmes, Seth Curry, Grant Williams is still on the Charlotte roster, but he had a serious injury. Like, he made some great moves. Even Kyrie Irving, people were killing him for that deal, and then they killed him when he re-signed him. All of that resulted in the Dallas Mavericks going to the finals, and he was the architect of that. And
Right.
now it's suddenly he's the worst GM ever. Because why? I believe it's because his owner didn't want to pay Luka Doncic, who had missed 32 of 49 games and is new to the business, blanched at having to pay him $365 million. That's what I think happened. So I just revisited all that. You know all that, Brendan. What do you make of where the Dallas Mavericks are now that they've moved off of Nico Harrison and they have Michael Finley and Matt Riccardi, I think is his first name, Matt Riccardi, as sharing the GM duties?
Well, first and foremost, I agree with everything you said. Nico didn't move Luka without a lot of people in the Dallas organization either thinking that was a good move or they wanted him moved himself. I'll say this. The year before that, I went and I called a game in Dallas. And after I called the game, I called my best friend. Me and my best friend talk every day. I said, I've never seen an organization have a generational player that disliked him that much. He was like, huh? I said, bro, everybody I talked to, they didn't speak highly of Luka. I said, and I talked to people from the support staff to the coaching staff, the front, like everybody around. It was just, yeah. And I'll never forget. I won't even say. I was talking to somebody. I said, man, y'all might have the MVP this year. And the response was one that I never thought I would get. They said, gosh, I hope not. I said, what?
Wow.
They said, we can't get him to listen to anything we say now. If he gets the MVP, no telling what he'll do.
Wow.
And then I started hearing the story. There's a lot of stories behind the scenes that never got out, and I'm never going to talk to them, but to tell them. But then I start hearing the stories. Slowly but surely, I start realizing whether it was the work ethic, whether it was showing up out of shape, whether it was how certain people were talked to. There were a lot of people in that organization that they were kind of at odds with Luka, or they didn't agree with how he went about his day-to-day business. And so when Nico made that trade, there were a lot of people that actually liked it. Me personally, I didn't think they got enough. I'm not saying you can't move a player like that, but if you're going to move Luka, you got to get 5 first-round picks.
Sure.
You got to get 5 first-round picks and a young player. It can't be a 34-year-old player. So that's how I feel about that. Now, to answer your question,
Mhm.
Where do the Dallas Mavericks go right now? This season, right now, is about one thing and one thing only: the development of Cooper
Mhm.
Flagg. Anthony Davis does not matter to this team. Kyrie Irving, love him. Does not matter to this team. Doesn't mean they're not good. I'm not saying that. I'm saying everything the Dallas Mavericks do from this date forth needs to be about Cooper Flagg taking the development to go from the player he is today to possibly being a franchise carrying superstar. That's what he was billed as coming out as the number one pick out of Duke. Some people thought he was generational. I really like his game. I was not one of the people that thought he was generational. I had seen this type of player before. But everything that they do right now
Hmm.
is about getting this young man ready to carry the torch.
Yep.
That's the only thing that matters. Wins and losses, I understand it, don't matter. Don't matter. Hey, did Kyrie get this many shots? Did Anthony Davis get this many shots? Truthfully, you can move Anthony Davis. Like, I'm serious. Like it's all about Cooper Flagg's development. At the end of the year, you want to say to yourself, hey, this guy took a lot of steps in the right direction as far as developing his offensive repertoire.
Would you move Anthony Davis or Kyrie Irving if you could?
Yes.
Is it you would?
The worst place you can be when you're in a situation like this is to play the middle.
Yep.
You don't want to be the team you don't want to be the barely playing team with guys that are 34 years old, as far as Anthony Davis, 35 years old with Kyrie, 30, how old's Clay? 35? Like a playing team with your core being in its mid-30s isn't the move. It's one thing if they were all young, but they're not. So I would be selling off players, trying to get assets. I hope the Mavericks own their pick, and I'll be trying to use my pick to come in. This is going to be an incredibly loaded draft. I'm not sure if you've been keeping up with the college kids. This draft is loaded. Like if you're anywhere within the top 10, you're gonna get a good player. You're in the top 5, strong chance you get a franchise-altering player.
Yeah.
Everything this year for the Dallas Mavericks is about securing that pick and getting Cooper Flagg ready to take the step to be a franchise carrier.
Klay Thompson is 35 years old, about to turn 36.
He looked 46.
He does. He does. Well, look, the fact that he came back from those 2 injuries and played again and won contributed to a championship, people don't understand in his 30s 2 what used to be career-ending injuries, and he comes back from that after missing 2 years, essentially 2 years, and comes back and he's relevant. Like everything that he's done has been gravy in my mind. We're like, what's wrong with him? He's not as good as he used to be. It's like, are you kidding me? The fact that he's on the floor is still amazing.
People don't understand the mental toll it takes on you when you're recovering from an injury, especially one of that nature. And I can only imagine you get through the ACL, and just as you're about to get through the ACL, boom, then what is it, the Achilles then next, right?
Achilles, yep.
They blow your Achilles. And that's a lot of time by yourself. That's a lot of time of questioning yourself, self-doubt. It's a lot of long mornings when you start getting up and your flexibility isn't what it used to be. The little things you took for granted, you can't do anymore. You start, am I ever going to be able to do this again? You fight through all that to come back and do what Klay Thompson has done. I mean, that's already a win within itself.
This is where the Dallas Mavericks played themselves by taking the approach that they did with Nico Harrison. Because where this team is right now, talking about moving Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, you're in a rebuilding situation now.
Yep.
But certainly with Cooper Flagg. I don't know if it's around because I'm with you. I think he's a really, really, really good player. I think he's a culture setter, but I don't know that he's a superstar.
He can be.
What's that?
I think he can be.
He can be a superstar.
I think he can be. It's all about development.
Okay.
And that's the one thing that people weren't talking about with Cooper in the draft. They were acting like the superstar magic dust was already upon him.
Oh yeah, he was ready-made.
Yeah, I was
going to come in like that.
And I'm watching, and I'm sitting here like I try to be super objective, and I like to call a strike a strike. And people, oh, you hating because he went to Duke? I was like, yo, I love his game. I'm just telling you what I know from 14 years of being in this business, playing with some of the best. If you ain't got a bag to go to, you better be the most athletic player ever. Like, okay,
We still going with 14? We still going with 14 years?
14 years, yeah. The last one in Cleveland probably don't count, but I'm counting.
I think Basketball Reference only gives you 13.
Because that last year in Cleveland probably shouldn't have counted. My jersey smelled like mothballs. I didn't do much.
But technically
14 years.
Okay.
But my point is, let's just say a guy like Giannis. Giannis doesn't have the most bag work, but he is one of the most athletic players to ever come through the league. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron early in his career had to develop his bag, but he's one of the most athletic to ever come through the league.
Yeah, he was a freak.
Cooper's very athletic, but he's not the most athletic guy I've
Right.
ever seen.
Agreed.
So if you're not the most athletic guy in an NBA setting, then what you have to do is you have to have a certain skill set, and he's working on his. And that normally, Rick, it normally takes about 2 years. It takes about, because you have to have a full summer of working on these moves. Then you have to take those moves into the regular season
and
test them out, see what works and what doesn't. And then you got to come back the very next year and you got to add layers onto that.
Yep.
So to be deep enough in your bag to be a franchise carrier, it takes 2 years of intense work. And people weren't talking about that when they were talking about Cooper Flagg. They thought he was already, they thought he was ready-made.
Yeah. And I disagree with that. But championship.
You disagree with what? That people thought he was ready-made?
No. I disagree that he was ready.
Oh, yeah,
he was ready-made. But franchise player, sure. There's a lot of guys out there. In fact, some of them are on the market potentially right now that are considered franchise players. Can he be a championship level franchise player? Is he because this is the thing I question is his physical gifts, his athleticism. Does he have enough in that bag in order to be a championship level franchise player? Because Jalen Brunson makes the most out of what he has. But I don't ever see him being the number one on a championship team because he's 6 foot whatever, 190, 200. And I know Steph Curry defies that concept. But the Warriors and Steph are such a rare unicorn. I'm not using that as proof that it can be done. I'm using that as proof as there's always an exception to every rule.
Well, the good thing about Cooper Flagg is that he's not 6'1", 190.
Yeah.
So when you ask, can Cooper Flagg be a franchise carrying championship level player? Yes.
Okay.
The number one reason he can be is because, first of all, he brings incredible energy and effort. The second thing is he brings multiple ways for him to beat you. The best players have more than one way to impact a playoff game. Jokic can impact a playoff game scoring, rebounding, passing. SGA, scoring, more importantly, a little bit of passing, but on the defensive end, he's a two-way player. Cooper Flagg is a very good defensive player on and off the ball. He's a very good passer. He can handle, has good size. He's 6'8", can switch a lot of different positions. All Cooper Flagg has to do, and I say all like it's easy, he got to go get the go-to moves.
Yeah.
He has to when it's late in the game, am I getting to do I know what my moves are? Am I getting to a hezzy pull jumper that I hit in my sleep? Am I getting to a bump fade jump shot? Is it a jab series? Is it turnaround fadeaway? Whatever it is, most of the guys in this league that carry franchises, I can name it. SGA, game on the line, he's going to his mid-range. He's getting to his mid-range game. Okay? And game on the line, Jokic is going to his mid-range game or he's going to his low block game. Game on the line, I know, hey, listen, it's going to be, he got a bunch of moves, jab, step, jumper, running hook, jump hook, fade away. I know exactly what he's going to get to. That is what you have to normally have, unless you're Giannis. Like Giannis doesn't really have a go-to move, but he's so athletically gifted, he didn't need one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And maybe they win more championships if he had the consistent go-to moves.
Or if he just made free throws, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
That's the element
but that's
would
neither here
compensate for it.
that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is you gotta have, though, if you're not a freak of nature athletically, something like we've never seen before,
Yeah.
then you gotta have your go-to moves, and Cooper Flagg is in the middle of trying to figure out what said moves are.
Yeah. One last thing on Dallas before we move on, and that's Jason Kidd talked about the Dallas fans chanting "Fire Nico" while some of their players were at the free throw line, and I can just imagine what that. I don't know if you've ever been in that kind of environment, but that the fan base is so distracted by their dislike for somebody in particular with your team that they're not there cheering you. They're busier spewing hate at that particular person. As somebody on the team and in the locker room and playing in that environment at home, does that affect you? Do you feel like that undermines your ability to play the way you would otherwise play if you were in front of a supportive crowd?
I think it does. Normally, when you're at home, you're able to ride the home crowd. You're able to ride that wave, that energy. But when your home crowd is against you, then I'm not going to say you're going to be distracted, but you just don't have the same energy level. You don't have the same umph. Like, I can't describe it, but man, when a big play happens and you're out there on the court and the crowd starts going crazy, every athlete will tell you there's just an energy inside you, a tingling that just gets you hyped. You make a big dunk and the crowd goes crazy. That's why you see guys act, we don't know what to do. It's a feeling. It's something inside that just gets you and you want to get up, and it brings you intense energy. I can only imagine not having that. And I'll say this. The only time that I can say that I was a part of something like that where the home player got booed, and I hope this guy doesn't take offense to this because it really happened, but he gets mad sometimes. Towards the end of Kwame Brown's career, the DC fans had kind of turned on him. And if he fumbled a pass or something early on in the game, they would just start to boo him. And it didn't have an effect on the team, but I saw the effect that it had on him. You know what I'm saying? I saw the effect that it had on him. That was the only time I've seen in my career where I've seen the home crowd turn on somebody within their own organization. Like within DC, I'm not sure why. It's so long ago, I'm not sure what it was, but there was a point where the home crowd turned on him. And I saw how it affected the confidence level.
This is where I think the Dallas fans played themselves because they're in that rebuilding situation now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Nico Harrison, while this was his first job as a GM, clearly tremendous amount of experience in terms of how to build a roster, how to build a winning roster. You've now handed over the keys to Matt Riccardi and Mike Finley, two guys who have never done it. Mm-hmm. Working for an owner who has demonstrated that he is very reactionary in terms of how he runs things. Because I think it's not only that Luka Doncic, that they moved off of Luka Doncic, I think it was also that they moved off of the Quentin Grimes for Caleb Martin deal because Quentin Grimes wanted to get paid, right? Can we get somebody that we think is kind of the same? And Caleb Martin's going to get paid $10 million over the next 2 years. So now you have an owner who is reactionary and thinks that way with two guys. First of all, two guys, you can't make a decision. Like, pick one. You got two guys who are sharing the role, who've never done it, who now you're in a tough spot. You need to turn the page. I think the Dallas Mavericks fans have made it infinitely worse on themselves because they were so blinded and they wanted to just hate on somebody, and unfortunately, in my mind, they picked the wrong guy, and it's going to cost them down the line.
Yeah, I think it's just been an unfortunate set of circumstances. Just a whole 1 year timeline. When you look at trading Luka for Anthony Davis and not getting proper compensation, then you get the number one pick. Everybody thinks everything is fixed. Okay, then you get to this part of the season. It's not working. AD shows up out of shape. He's injured like usual. Kyrie, we understood it's going to take him some time to get back, and the team's not doing well. And then, so now you look at it, and this is the biggest thing for me. The guy that you gave enough power to possibly broker a Luka trade gets fired less than 365 days later. How's that even possible? Like, if he had enough juice to pull that deal, allegedly, how does he get fired less than a year later? That doesn't make sense. And as I've matured and really watched sports, I've realized that a lot of the teams that are bad consistently, it starts organizationally.
For sure. It starts at the top.
Exactly. So if at the top there's instability, earlier in the podcast I said culture starts up top, then it goes down, then from your front office. So you got to hire the right people, put them in power. Then we understand what the message is going to be. That goes to the coaching staff. But if up top isn't right, everything underneath it's not going to be right.
Yep.
And right now, Dallas has to figure out, how do we restore order within our organization?
So before we go, I want to get your take on this, because I may be too close to it. And living in the Bay Area, constantly being
You're definitely too close to it.
What's that?
You're definitely too close to it.
Okay. Well, then that's why I want to get your perspective on this situation, because a lot of Warriors fans are looking to do what the Dallas Mavericks fans did with Nico Harrison, which is find a scapegoat, to find somebody to blame for the fact that the Warriors do not look like a championship contending team, in spite of Steph Curry still and Draymond Green and some of the familiar names still being on the roster. And Steve Kerr is taking a lot of that grief. And I wonder, as you watch them and you look at their roster, how much do you see there being a different Steve Kerr, or maybe the challenge of coaching this type of team being beyond his skill set? I'm just wondering, because I look at it and I go, I've seen this guy win championships. I saw him take that team that fell off a cliff and spend 2 years in developing Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins and ancillary guys and creating another championship team. And it's hard for me to look at him with this roster and say, you know what, if he would just give more minutes, if he'd handled Jonathan Kuminga different, or if he was playing Moses Moody more, like whatever you want to say, that somehow he's to blame because he's not utilizing this roster to the fullest. What do you say when you look at the Golden State Warriors and the job that Steve Kerr is doing?
I would tell you that the Golden State Warriors fan base is spoiled. For a decade, probably maybe even a little bit more, guys have been basketball royalty. Basketball royalty. Listen, at one point you knew that the NBA Finals had to go through Golden State at one point. And then, like you said, then there was the rebuilding year, and the rebuild 2 years, and then you pop right back and won another championship. And so this, like you think about, so that's what? How many championships did they win in that run? Is it 3 or 4?
4.
So you look at all those years, what Golden State has become accustomed to is somehow being in it. Now they're looking out there and they're saying, man, we're not good enough.
Yeah.
Somebody has to blame. And who's really to blame is simply Father Time. The end comes for all franchise. Hey, listen, for all dynasties, for all great players, there comes a time where like, we're going to have to rebuild and try this again. And they were so fortunate to win that last championship without going through a full rebuild. But right about now, Steph at 37, 38 years old, like with his style of play, man, he has to run a country mile just to get a shot up. Like, dog, like it is so hard for this team, the way it's constructed, to be a championship level team, that the Golden State Warrior fan base just has to come to grips with the fact that this team is as good as it can possibly get. Yep. Steve Kerr is going to get the most. He's going to get the most juice out of the squeeze. And if you don't win, it's not because Steve Kerr can't coach. If you don't win, it's not because Steve Kerr doesn't like Jonathan Kuminga. If you don't win, it's because it's probably not your time. Your time of winning has probably come to an end. And it comes to an end for every great team that has an incredible run. It came to the end for the Boston Celtics. It came to an end for the Los Angeles Lakers. It came to an end for the Chicago Bulls. The Golden State Warriors' time has come to an end. You just got to handle it with grace and class. Remember the good times.
Yeah. One last thing I want to ask you about this situation, and it has to do with the young guys. And Steve Kerr is very judicious. He doesn't give out minutes easily. How requisite is it with any coach that players have to earn their minutes? How damaging is it when you have a situation where guys are getting minutes that they haven't necessarily earned?
I think it's like anything else in life. If you get something without working for it, you don't truly appreciate it. I can say that I've been blessed financially early on in my life. I'm 21 years old. I was the financial leader of my family. And I can say this, anybody that I just flat out gave a large sum of money to, they normally fumbled it because they didn't have the appreciation of what it took to build. You know what I'm saying? If you got to build financially, you appreciate what goes into buying that house. If it was just given to you, you might take it for granted. If you got to build up and earn your minutes, if you got to come in day one in training camp and they don't give it to you, you got to go fight off some hungry guys trying to make the team, fight off some hungry vets trying to stick in the league, and then you show everybody that you're worthy of your minutes. It feels different because it wasn't given to you. I fought for it. I took it.
Yeah.
I'm here because y'all know that I'm supposed to be here. And that also, once again, it goes towards building culture. If you see your young dog fight through the fire, he comes out on the other end, everybody's going to respect it. But if you saw the coaching staff in the front office hold his hand, there's going to be people in the locker room thinking, I'm better than him.
And just to prove, on the way out, just to prove that I am not a Lakers hater.
Oh, God.
I am not a
nothing good's gonna come of this.
Ronnie James hater.
Nothing good's gonna come
I'm not even going to go to where that conversation, that statement could naturally lead me. I'm not going to do it. I refuse. I'm not going to do it. It's right there. It's right there in front of me. I could easily do it, but I say, nay. I will not. I will not indulge in that kind of slander.
We're going to get the call.
Even if it's spot on.
We're going to get the call. You keep playing around. We're going to get the call.
I got to tell you, there's a part of me that really wants to push this to where not I get the call. You get the call and somebody says, hey, would you go get your boy? Would you reel him in? I gotta try to make that happen. I've got to tell you, that's
Brendan Haywood does not approve this message. That's all you need to know. I don't want to call.
All right. Well, that does it. That does it for this episode. Brendan, always a pleasure. As always, there was a lot we didn't get to, but for all of you out there, thanks for joining us. And we will get to it next week.